In my last video, I talked about Egypt's most unconventional pharaoh, Akhenaten. He may have looked strange, but he was incredibly lucky. His wife, Nefertiti, is historically recognized as the world's most beautiful woman. Her name literally means the beautiful one has come. This bust of Nefertiti, unearthed in 1912, showcases exquisite features and the dignified aura of a queen. Ludwig Borchardt, the archaeologist who found her, wrote in his diary that her use of color was so modern it was beyond description. Any adjective felt unnecessary. The art world ranks her alongside Venus as one of the world's most beautiful female sculptures. So this statue is a big deal. Before we dive into Nefertiti's legendary life 3,800 years ago, let's discuss the statue itself. When it was found, it had no name carved on it. How did they know it was the famous Nefertiti? Archaeologists figured it out by closely examining her crown and comparing it to ancient carvings. They concluded it was her. Since she held immense power during her reign, basically equal to the pharaoh, her crown was very different from a typical queen's. You can see how similar the two crowns are in this photo. Because of this bust, Egypt and Germany are still locked in a bitter fight over her. Egypt has used every possible tactic, tricks, threats, and bribes to get her back, but Germany absolutely refuses to return her. Back then, Egypt was a colony of Britain and France. Since the British and French had already taken a lot of treasure, the German archaeologist Borchardt wasn't going to be left out and joined the hunt. After he found the bust, he cleverly got permission from Gaston Maspero, the director of the Cairo Museum, and quietly smuggled the piece back to Germany. The Germans initially kept the exhibition low-key, but by 1924, they couldn't resist and put it on public display. That's how Egyptians discovered one of their national treasures was sitting in Germany. They've been pressuring Germany for its return ever since, even offering to swap it for other artwork. This shows you how much Egyptians value this artifact. Naturally, the Germans refused. Hitler even famously said the statue would never leave Germany. The Egyptians were crushed. They couldn't fight for it, and they couldn't negotiate for it, so they could only fume. After Germany lost World War II, the US, as a victorious nation, also set its sights on Nefertiti, thinking about shipping her to America. But the Germans knew what they had. This was a priceless treasure, and they wouldn't surrender it for anything. So it has remained in Germany to this day. Seeing their national treasure perpetually abroad, Egypt tried a different approach. They got sneaky. They told Germany, look, we're hosting a big event at our museum soon. If you absolutely won't return her, how about lending her to us for a few days for the exhibition? We'll just try to trick her back first. Unfortunately, Egypt's scheme was too obvious, and Germany didn't fall for it. So why are these two nations fighting so intensely over a statue? Is it only because she's named the world's most beautiful woman? Absolutely not. The real reason is her immense historical influence. Her importance in Egyptian history is just as great as her husband Akhenaten's. She's also surrounded by many mysteries. As queen, she vanished without a trace around the age of 30, roughly in the 12th year of Akhenaten's 17-year reign. Historians and archaeologists still don't know exactly when she died, how she died, or where she's buried. Let's quickly review her fascinating life. There are many theories about Nefertiti's birth. The most credible historical and archaeological analysis suggests she was Akhenaten's cousin. Her father, Ai, was an Egyptian minister and the brother of Queen Taye, Akhenaten's mother. Essentially, Akhenaten married his cousin. Things got complicated fast. Akhenaten and Nefertiti had 6 daughters but no sons. Akhenaten did father a boy, the Tutankhamun we know, with another wife who happened to be his own sister. Since Tutankhamun's birth mother died young, Queen Nefertiti raised him as her own son. She even married her 3rd daughter, Ankhesenamun, to Tutankhamun. So Tutankhamun also married his half-sister. Sibling marriage was common in Egyptian royalty. The most shocking part is that Tutankhamun died young without an heir. The influential minister Ai then took the throne as the new pharaoh and married Tutankhamun's widow, Ankhesenamun. Remember, Ai was Nefertiti's father. So Nefertiti's father ended up marrying his own great-granddaughter. The Egyptian royals truly did anything to maintain the purity of their bloodline. Setting the family drama aside, Queen Nefertiti was not only beautiful, but held supreme power during her reign. In some ways, she was more powerful than her husband. For instance, she had the power of execution, which Akhenaten did not. This situation stemmed from Akhenaten's religious reform. He pushed for monotheism, abolishing Egypt's polytheistic system, promoting the previously minor god Aten, and declaring that only this one god should be worshipped. This illustration shows the scene: Akhenaten on the left, Nefertiti on the right, and the Aten sun disk in the center. The message is clear: only Akhenaten and Nefertiti were the legitimate link between humans and the god. In that era, virtually every ancient Egyptian was deeply devout. Controlling the channel to the gods meant controlling the entire population. Previously, communication with the gods was managed by the pharaoh and the priests. Now, it was just the two of them. Naturally, the former priestly class absolutely hated them. On the flip side, this setup proves that Nefertiti and Akhenaten had equal status. She was far from a typical queen. Ancient wall carvings even show her and Akhenaten driving chariots side by side, which is remarkable. What kind of pharaoh would treat his wife as an equal? This would be impossible for other rulers. While you could interpret it as Akhenaten deeply loved his wife, it actually shows that he embraced gender equality over 3,800 years ago. Combine this with the fact we discussed last time, Akhenaten was arguably the world's first realist artist. Despite knowing his body looked strange, he instructed sculptors to carve him exactly as he was, believing truth was beauty. This brings us back to the same question: why did he have such modern ideas? When you consider his unusually large head, estimated to have twice the brain capacity of a normal person, and his distinct DNA, you have to wonder if he was a pharaoh whose genes were modified by aliens. Now, back to Nefertiti. There's an archaeological mystery surrounding her disappearance. After the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, around age 30, Nefertiti vanished without a trace. No records of her have been found since. Some people speculate that the pharaoh divorced her because she only produced 6 daughters and no son. I think that's ridiculous. She was the pharaoh's equal, he couldn't just discard her. Plus, Tutankhamun was adopted by her, so technically, she had a son. Others believe that because their forced switch to monotheism caused chaos, later pharaohs viewed them as villains and destroyed most records about them. We simply haven't found her information yet. Regardless, we know Nefertiti definitely made a lot of enemies, especially the powerful Egyptian priests. We mentioned last time that those priests cursed Akhenaten, wishing his heirs wouldn't live past 18. Sure enough, Tutankhamun died young and without an heir. Their curse on Nefertiti was far more malicious. A female mummy found in the Valley of the Kings had her right hand, a symbol of power, snapped off, her face completely destroyed, and her linen wrappings torn. This matches the most vicious curse in the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead. A destroyed face meant she couldn't speak her name to the gods. The wrappings, which had the deceased's name so the soul could identify the body, were also destroyed, preventing the soul from ever returning. She was condemned to remain a lonely spirit forever. What kind of hatred could inspire such a brutal curse? However, the priest apparently cursed the wrong person. Although the mummy had Nefertiti's characteristic double ear piercings, DNA analysis proved the female mummy was actually Tutankhamun's biological mother, not Nefertiti. Since Tutankhamun's mother died shortly after giving birth, she had no power or enemies. She was simply in the royal tomb, so the priest most likely mistook her for Nefertiti. There's one final mystery. After co-ruling with Akhenaten, Nefertiti changed her name to Neferneferuaten. When Akhenaten died, she didn't directly pass the throne to Tutankhamun, but to a pharaoh named Smenkhkare. Strangely, Pharaoh Smenkhkare also used the title Neferneferuaten. This raises the question, could Smenkhkare have actually been Nefertiti? It's only a theory, but because of all these unknowns, archaeologists continue their search for her.